Hi viewers, this is the first of a series that draws comparisons between the artistic avant-garde and contemporary online culture, written by Mike Watson, author of Can the Left Learn to Meme, out with 0 books. In this episode, we are going to look at modernist abstract painting and internet glitch culture, taking into account the theories of 20th century cultural theorists Clement Greenberg and Theodore Adorno. Abstraction is among the most confusing tendencies in modernist culture for the layman, although really it's simple to comprehend once you know the basics. The term abstract is used to signify that something has been removed or abstracted from nature, so as to resemble nothing in particular. So rather than seeing a tree or person, the viewer of the abstract painting sees only the formal elements that make up the painting: line, light and dark, color, mass and space, that are arranged by the painter to convey a feeling. Abstract painting is more about the properties and limitations of paint than about communicating a given concept. The U.S. critic Clement Greenberg, a greatly influential arts writer who wrote on and spent time with abstract painters such as Jackson Pollock and Barnett Newman, argued in his 1961 essay Modernist Painting that the essence of modernism lies, as I see it, in the use of characteristic methods of a discipline to criticize the discipline itself, not in order to subvert it, but in order to entrench it more firmly in its area of competence. That is to say, each medium focuses on the properties specific to it and exaggerates what it is best at, while stripping away elements that are best conveyed by other media. For example, as photography is better than painting at depicting things as they really appear, painters of the avant-garde emphasized what painting was best at: color, flatness, stillness. In keeping with the notion of the avant-garde as forging ahead into the future, Greenberg's take on avant-garde painting is ultimately optimistic, going along with the modern notion of linear progress uniting past and present art in quest for an eventual future perfection. Though this, as it happens, is precisely the kind of unchecked sickly saccharine vision of modernist progress that German philosopher Theodore Adorno railed against. It is widely believed that Adorno and Greenberg were either unaware or uninterested in each other's works, despite for a time working simultaneously in New York. This robs us of what would have been one of the greatest intellectual standoffs of the 20th century, but we can consider how it might have gone here. To start, it is important to know that both Adorno and Greenberg saw abstraction as the most useful counter to mass-produced kitsch art, associated with the European fascist and totalitarian regime, which banned avant-garde experimentation in the 1930s. Both viewed nostalgic and moralistic narrative in popular culture as dumbing down the potential of art to push boundaries. Greenberg could have been speaking for both thinkers when writing on populist disdain for high art in his 1939 essays The Avant-Garde and Kitsch. Most often, this resentment toward culture is to be found where the dissatisfaction with society is a reactionary dissatisfaction which expresses itself in revivalism and puritanism, and latest of all, in fascism. Here, revolvers and torches begin to be mentioned in the same breath as culture. In the name of godliness or the blood's health, in the name of simple ways and solid virtues, the statue smashing commences. However, the two thinkers diverge radically where Adorno, who was exiled from Nazi Germany as a Jewish academic, refused to acknowledge the existence of a positive linear progression running through history. Rather, he saw the Enlightenment project as continuing and exacerbating the tendency for humans to attempt to control their surroundings by identifying natural phenomena under rational systems that are inadequate to reality. By the late modernist period, this resulted for Adorno in humans categorizing other humans under numerical values or racial types. The human quest for perfection went so far awry that it resulted in the death camps. In his 1949 essay Cultural Criticism and Society, Adorno wrote, "Absolute reification, which presupposed intellectual progress as one of its elements, is now preparing to absorb the mind entirely. Critical intelligence cannot be equal to this challenge as long as it confines itself to self-satisfied contemplation." Put otherwise, for Adorno, there can be no independent critique performed by an artwork, and the notion of an artistic perfection is ultimately seen as naive. Art can't change society as it is embedded in it. In retrospect, it would be hard to disagree with Adorno. In today's era of post-truth, the notion of a true or pure art form seems antiquated. The antidote to a perverse rationality resided for Adorno, perhaps logically, in irrationality, leading him to champion absurd and abstract theater, literature, and music. Abstraction for Adorno was the only thing equal to the absurdity that rationality had in reality become, though it in no way aimed towards perfection. At most, the abstract opera of Schoenberg or the writing of Kafka, to take two examples, might momentarily shock the audience or reader, jolting them from their false consciousness as dispirited beings in a society beholden to a runaway capital. Today's glitch aesthetic, created via a real or simulated technological malfunction in image reproduction hardware or software, has propelled abstraction into our daily lives as glitches appear on everything from shitpost memes to music videos to mainstream advertising. They can be made using graphic or video editing software or dedicated online or mobile apps, such as photomods, or by relying on the malfunctioning of analog equipment such as video players. Crucially, the glitch aesthetic, usually generated digitally and spread via the internet, can in no way be said to present the Greenbergian apex of the internet or other digital media as a medium. Far from representing a striving for perfection, glitches aim to create malfunction and unintelligibility. Indeed, in a post-truth era, the glitch does one step further than the common practice of spreading disinformation, aiming to destroy or refute information itself. By analogy, this could be compared to the practice of deliberately corrupting files offered by online apps such as corruptmyfile.com, allowing students and employees to avoid handing in assignments by providing the excuse that their file was subject to a virus or crash. The glitch is effectively a crash or virus in an image, or, put otherwise, an abstraction. This abstraction refuses to reproduce a faulted reality, i.e. the logic of capitalism and its image culture. Notably, this goes beyond the absurdist inversion of moral values performed by edgelords and shitposters of the left or right, who find perverse satisfaction in deliberately upsetting moral sensibilities via the propagation of taboo imagery such as swastikas, Soviet imagery, or stereotypical depictions of racial groups. For Adorno, such activity is ultimately self-defeating, as it repeats the tendency towards identification and control. This concern was paralleled on the Glitch Artists Collective Facebook page in April of 2019, when a debate arose over the suitability of politically motivated art posted to the page, with some page members arguing that politically motivated glitch goes against the purely aesthetic values of glitch art. If the glitch represents pure malfunction, directly political imagery represents a system of control, even if it opposes the status quo. Here, we see a rationale in the tendency towards the glitch aesthetic today. As much as presenting a nostalgia for the analog age, as is often argued, it represents an opposition to the status quo and, above all, to the tendency towards control over nature and of humankind present in directly political action. In this sense, the glitch in its rawest form is opposed to the political meme, which, regardless of its tendency, replays the failings of politics, i.e. governance and power, in general. However, this is a strategic more than apolitical approach, as glitch art conveys an awareness of the challenges of striving for perfection, a tendency that can tip over too easily into an aestheticized politics. The seemingly frivolous glitch takes part in one of the great debates of 20th century, demonstrating more than anything that the Avant Garde never really passed, and that art will always be called upon to challenge hegemony, even when it is entirely abstract.